Hey everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are talking about something that you guys might have heard about in the news already. It was all over the place, and it's this recent Citibank app outage.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a bunch of news articles that are covering it from all different sides and all different angles.
Yeah.
So we're going to be trying to figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And what it means for all of us
Right.
as consumers in this crazy digital world. So to give you a little bit of background,
Correct.
our expert here today is a specialist in both fintech
Yeah.
and cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So they're the perfect person to break down what happened.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's jump right in. The outage
Okay.
began around 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025.
Got it.
So very recent. And hundreds of users started reporting problems on downdetector.com, which if you guys don't know about this website, it's super handy
Yeah.
when these kinds of things happen.
For sure.
But these were just like small glitches.
Right.
People were totally unable to log in to their accounts, either through the app or the website.
Which, as you can imagine, makes things pretty difficult if you need to access your money or pay bills.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because for a lot of people,
Yeah.
the app IS'd their bank.
Right.
That is how they manage their money. That is how they pay their bills.
Yeah, exactly.
They do everything on there.
So suddenly they're totally cut off from their finances.
Exactly.
It can be incredibly stressful.
And to make things even worse,
Yeah.
some users even got hit with fraud alerts
Oh.
at the same time that they couldn't access their accounts.
Oh, wow. That's like a worst case scenario.
I know, right? You get a fraud alert and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? But then you can't even log in to check your balance or see if any unauthorized transactions actually went through.
I mean, talk about a recipe for a panic attack.
Totally. So as you can imagine, people were understandably freaking out.
Yeah.
And the news articles we have here are full of customer complaints from X, formerly Twitter,
Right.
about these exact issues.
It's understandable people would be upset.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I would be too.
Now, to Citibank's credit, they did try to get ahead of it.
Okay.
They put out statements saying, hey, we know we're having technical problems. Sorry for the inconvenience. And they were suggesting that people try using Citi.com instead.
Okay.
Or, get this, calling them on the phone.
Oh, wow. Going old school?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like we've stepped back in time to like the 90s.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting that they had to direct people back to these more traditional channels.
Totally.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, how resilient are these systems to begin with? Like, sure, they had a backup plan.
Right.
But the fact that it took almost a full day to resolve the issue is a little concerning.
Yeah. And it's especially interesting because literally the day before all of this chaos broke out, Citibank was celebrating record revenues and bragging about this huge growth in digital users.
Oh, really?
I think it was something like 19 million active users on their mobile app.
Wow. So they were riding high, and then this happened.
I know. So it makes you wonder, could their success actually be part of the problem?
It's a really good question.
Right.
I mean, sometimes when you grow really quickly,
Yeah.
your infrastructure can't keep up.
Right. So it's like they built this giant digital skyscraper, but maybe they forgot to reinforce the foundation.
Exactly. It might look impressive, but it's not going to be very stable if something goes wrong.
Okay. So on the one hand, we have this huge push towards digital banking. It's convenient, it's fast, it's all the rage.
Right.
But then we see a major bank's app go down for almost a whole day. So it kind of makes you think twice about this whole thing, right? What does this say about the trade-offs we're making when we choose convenience over everything else?
It definitely raises some important questions about how vulnerable we are when everything's digital.
Right, because we're essentially putting all of our trust
Yeah.
in these systems that we're seeing can and do fail.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, are banks doing enough to make sure these systems can handle millions of users and withstand these disruptions, whether it's just a technical glitch or, something more malicious like a cyber attack?
So how do we as users protect ourselves in this kind of environment? I mean, digital banking isn't going away.
No, definitely not. It's here to stay.
So we need to figure out how to navigate it safely.
I think the key is to think about it like this.
Okay.
You wouldn't leave your front door unlocked, would you?
No way.
So why would you treat your digital life any differently? You need to take steps to protect yourself online, just like you would in the real world.
So what are some of those steps? How do we lock down our digital finances?
Well, one of the most important things is to use strong, unique passwords for every single online account.
Okay. Yeah, that's like cybersecurity 101, right?
It is.
We've all heard it a million times.
I know, but you would be surprised how many people still use the same weak password for everything.
It's true. It's easy to get lazy about it.
Boy, Right. And then one data breach later and all of your accounts are compromised.
Yikes. All right, so strong passwords. Check. What else?
Multi-factor authentication.
Okay, so that's where you have to like enter a code from your phone or your email.
Exactly. It's just an extra layer of security to make sure that it's really you trying to log in.
I feel like a lot of people find that annoying, though.
I know it can be a little bit of a hassle, but trust me, it's worth it.
It's like having a security guard check your ID,
Yes,
even if you have the key to get in.
exactly. It's
Right.
that extra step that can really make a difference.
Okay, so we've got strong passwords, multi-factor authentication. What about phishing scams?
Oh, yes, those are a huge problem, and they're getting more sophisticated all the time.
I feel like I'm getting better at spotting
Yeah.
them, but they're still so tricky.
They really are. They're designed to look like legitimate emails and websites, so you have to be super careful.
So what's the best way to protect ourselves?
Honestly, the best advice I can give is to be cautious if something seems even a little bit off. Don't click on any links. Don't open any attachments. Just err on the side of caution.
So basically trust your gut.
Yeah, if it smells fishy, it probably is.
Okay, good advice. And speaking of things that can be kind of fishy, let's talk about our digital footprint.
Oh, yes. That's a big one. Every time you use an app browse, a website post on social media, you're leaving a trail of data.
It's like digital breadcrumbs leading right to us.
Exactly. And that data can be used for all sorts of things. Some good, some not so good.
Right, like targeted advertising, which can be annoying.
Sure.
But then also things like identity theft.
Yes, and that's what we want to avoid, so it's important to be mindful of what you're sharing online.
So should we all just go off the grid and live in a cabin in the woods?
Well, that's one option, but I think there's a more balanced approach.
Okay, good. Because I don't know about you, but I kind of like my Wi-Fi.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So instead of going completely off the grid, let's just be more intentional about what we share.
So like being careful about the information we put on social media.
Yes, and checking our privacy settings on all of our apps and websites.
It's like we have to be our own digital privacy advocates.
Exactly. You have to take control of your own data.
All right, so we've got strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, phishing awareness, and managing our digital footprint. That's a pretty good start, right?
It is. It's a great foundation for good cybersecurity hygiene.
But I have to ask, even if we do all of that perfectly, aren't there still risks that are beyond our control? I mean, this Citibank outage wasn't just a random glitch.
No, you're right. It was a symptom of a much larger issue, which is that our digital systems are becoming incredibly complex and interconnected.
So even if we do everything right on our end,
Yeah,
something could still go wrong somewhere else in the system.
exactly. It's like having the best security system in the world for your house. But if the power grid goes down,
You're still in trouble.
you're still vulnerable.
So what can we do about that? Do we just have to accept this as the price of living in a digital world?
Well, I don't think we have to just accept it. I think we can demand more from the institutions that hold our data and our money.
So it's not just about individual responsibility, it's also about holding these companies accountable.
Absolutely. We need to push for more transparency, stronger security measures, more robust backup plans.
So it's like we need to be both proactive and reactive.
Yes, we need to protect ourselves, but we also need to advocate for better systems overall.
Okay, so we're not totally powerless here.
Yeah.
We can take action both individually and collectively.
Yes, and that's really empowering.
It is. Knowledge is power, and the more we understand about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this digital world.
Exactly, and that's what this deep dive is all about.
Right. We're not just here to talk about what happened with Citibank, but to help you, the listener, understand the bigger picture.
And to give you the tools to protect yourself.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
We need to look out for each other, share information, and work together to make the digital world a safer place.
And as we become more informed and more empowered, we can actually start to shift the balance of power. We can demand better from the companies that we're trusting with our data and our finances.
That's a really important point. It's not about being afraid of technology, but about using it wisely and holding those in power accountable.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, the Citibank outage, cybersecurity in general, and what we can do to protect ourselves. But I think the real takeaway here is we can actually do something about it. You know,
Yeah.
we're not just sitting here waiting for the next outage or the next cyber attack.
Right.
It's about being proactive
Yeah.
and taking control and actually demanding, better systems.
Exactly, and realizing it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not just like a one-time thing. The technology changes all the time. The digital landscape is constantly evolving. So we have to stay informed.
Yeah.
We have to keep learning.
So as you go about your week, after listening to this, think about what are some small steps that you can take to, improve your own digital security.
Right.
Maybe it's finally enabling that two-factor authentication.
Yes.
Or taking a closer look at your privacy settings on social media.
That's a great one.
Little things like that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to be a tech expert to do any of this.
No, not at all.
There are so many resources available to help.
There are.
Like, I know the FTC has a great website, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, they have tons of tips and advice.
Yep, all for free.
Exactly. And don't forget to, talk to your friends and family about this stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
The more we all know, the better.
Absolutely. It's like a neighborhood watch.
I love that.
But for the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And, if we all start demanding better security and privacy from the companies we do business with,
Yeah.
it can create a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Consumers have a lot of power. When we speak up and we say, this is important to us, companies have to listen.
Right, because ultimately they want our business.
Exactly. They want to keep us as customers.
So this whole Citibank outage, as frustrating as it was, it can actually be a good thing. It's a wake-up call. It's a reminder that we can't just be complacent about our digital lives.
That's right. We have to be proactive.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to push for change.
To make the digital world a safer place.
Absolutely, and that's a great note to end on, I think.
I agree.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, knowledge is power, and in the digital age, it really is our best defense. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there.